welcome, Julie. Thank you for joining me today. Julie is the founder of World Ride, I believe. Is founder the correct term, or just CEO kind of?
Yeah, I'm the founder and executive director.
Executive director. Okay, I thought there was another term in there too. Okay, well, welcome. Thank you again for joining us. I know we've been chatting for a little minute before we started the recording here. Why don't you start off just telling everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got into the sport of mountain biking?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I currently live in Moab, Utah, but I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. That's where I was born and raised. And I actually lived in Tucson when I started mountain biking. I originally started riding road bikes, back in college. I went to the University of Arizona in Tucson and started riding road bikes there, but I always wanted to be out on trails. Like I wanted to be out in nature. But I was actually kind of a little terrified of mountain biking. Eventually had some friends that were mountain bike instructors that helped teach me how to mountain bike, and that made a big difference for me. So
sure.
Yeah, I don't even think I've touched a road bike in probably close to 10 years. So, but I've always just loved riding bikes. Like, you know, when I started riding road bikes, I kind of fell in love with the community and the people, and the fact that bikes just kind of bring together people from all aspects of life. It was just this really cool opportunity to to get to meet all sorts of different people, and I love just being out on a bike and exploring and riding. And then when I found mountain biking, I was like, okay, this is my thing.
That's your thing.
It was like the same thing, the community aspect, but I got to be out on trails and in nature, and I love the technical aspect of mountain biking, which I think is why I live in Moab.
Sure.
The riding here. And yeah, I think the thing that I've always loved about riding bikes is the community, and it's one of the things I love most about World Ride too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Back to the beginning, what was it that terrified you about getting on the mountain bike and off the road, I guess? What was that? What was that was daunting?
Yeah, it's funny because I think it actually stemmed from road riding, that I had some unfortunate accidents. You know, road biking is dangerous, and and I think I was just afraid of getting injured. You know, mountain biking was,
of course,
like, you know, you can crash and whatnot. I feel like I think I just had a lot of fear from like having gotten injured and recovering and stuff on the road bike. Even though those crashes were a lot worse than, you know, what a potential mountain bike one.
Gotcha.
Plus, I started mountain biking in Tucson. Like, everything in Tucson wants to hurt you if you're tall. Like, all of the cacti and even the rocks are just sharp, and so I just didn't. It was such a different sport, and I didn't quite fully recognize that when I started. It was just like, I was just riding bikes, but as I started learning like the skills and, you know, body position and everything that goes with mountain biking, I started to kind of get it and realize that it was a different sport, and then I needed to just have a different mindset about it.
And how long did it take to how many rides, how many weeks, months? You said your friends were like instructors, so they not only were skilled but had the skills to teach, I guess, as well, which probably helps.
Yeah, I took a couple of skills classes, which helped. It just kind of like helped me learn that like mountain biking was a totally different sport. And then I also had a really amazing group of women that were super patient with me and took me out and just, you know, enjoyed being out on bikes, and were kind of really, just patient with me as I, you know, was starting, and happy to just kind of get me out and help me learn. So
very cool.
Very cool. So
And how long ago was that?
Oh my goodness. Probably 12 or 13 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said you haven't been on the road bike in about 10.
Probably, yeah. Somewhere, maybe, I mean, maybe once or twice, but I sold my road bike like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and it had sat for years.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, held on to it for a while, and I was like, okay, this is not getting used, so I'm gonna let somebody
Right.
else use it.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
You're up in Moab, you said. Did you move up there for the mountain biking, or was there another reason that drew you?
Yeah, I came here for the mountain biking.
Okay.
I was kind of yeah, I was kind of looking for a place to land. I had moved away from Phoenix, which is where I'm from, and you know, was working remotely, so I could be anywhere. I'm trying to figure
Yeah.
out where that anywhere was.
Okay.
And through kind of a very chance meeting out on the Black Canyon Trail, I was bikepacking the Black Canyon Trail,
Yeah.
and met one of the owners of Rim Tours in Moab.
Okay.
And he invited me to come work for him as a mountain bike guide in Moab. So that's
Nice.
what brought me up here. And yeah, I still do a little bit of guiding just because it's, what brought me up here. But
Sure.
yeah, I kind of fell in love with Moab and the community here and the mountain biking here. And yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
But so you're not doing the guiding so much. What occupies your time these days?
Mostly just World Ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
Full-time job.
Yeah. Yeah. More than.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've been past Moab and driving up through Utah from here, but I've never stopped for any kind of hiking and any kind of activities. What's your favorite trail to go on, or your favorite area? What favorite system to ride?
Well, you'll have to come here and actually ride bikes.
Okay,
It's pretty amazing.
on the list.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite trail is it's probably the most famous one here, the whole enchilada.
Okay,
Just love the Porcupine Rim section is yeah, one of my favorite trails. Probably
cool.
a close second is Captain Ahab.
Okay,
So, yeah.
very nice.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of mountain biking? You said you mentioned a little bit about like the technical. Is that what you really strive for when you go out for a ride? Is getting in some technical climbs or technical rides, or?
Um, that's a really great question. I mean, I think the thing that I honestly love most about mountain biking is the people that I've met and the community that I've made through this
Okay,
sport. But as
sure.
far as riding wise going, yeah, I love any type of ride. I do really love technical riding.
Okay,
Yeah, and I think I don't know, I think it's just because that's what I do that most often that uh but I do love, that's what I love. I love the challenge of riding technical terrain. I love
okay,
big days out too. I like to just be out on my bike for, a whole day in a beautiful place. But
sure.
I
Well,
will
you picked a good one, that's for sure.
yeah. Yeah.
From the pictures I've seen, anyway. Yeah,
Yeah. Yes, it is beautiful here.
nice. Are you into? I see you've got the pull-up bars behind you there in the door
Mm.
jam. Are you into other fitness in general, or just I guess should say maybe just fitness in general too, or other sports?
Yeah, I don't really, yeah, I don't do too many other sports. I mean, I don't know, I like to get out on the river in the summertime.
Okay,
But mountain biking is pretty much my main activity. But I go to the gym, but it's mostly to be stronger on my bike. So
that's quite all right. That's quite all
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Cool. Well, let's jump into World Ride because I
yeah.
think that's what everybody would really like to know about this organization. I've had the opportunity of working with you a little bit here for the last couple of years, and as part of our Women's Weekend too. So we brought you on board as a partner for the movie nights and such. But take us back to the beginning. How did World Ride come about? What was that vision like that said, this is the path I want to take?
Yeah. Well, I had started working on actually a film project in Nepal. Um, and that was kind of after the big earthquakes in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, I had been planning to travel there, and then the earthquakes happened, and I wanted to do something that would help, and it kind of evolved into this film project.
Okay.
And so I went to Nepal for the first time in 2017 for the film Moksha.
Okay.
And that film, it told the story of three Nepali women and their journey with mountain biking and just being women mountain bikers in Nepal.
Right.
And I kind of somehow always knew that when I was in Nepal that I was like I wanted to continue to help. Like I didn't want to just go and make the film and then leave.
Okay.
I wanted to do something that would continue, and I kind of knew that I wasn't going to figure out what that was until I was there, and just going and meeting these women and just kind of seeing this need for just getting more women into the sport.
Okay.
That was kind of how the idea of World Ride started.
Okay.
Was through that film project, and
Gotcha.
yeah, it kind of went home and it's like this could be done anywhere. Like we can do this anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
You know, to help get more women into mountain biking. And yeah, a big part of what we do is we help to support women in becoming mountain bike guides. And so
Okay.
later that year, after a couple of the women in that film went through training to become mountain bike guides, we hosted our first trip in Nepal, and that was kind of when World Ride officially became a thing. So
Very cool. Very
yeah.
cool. So are you a filmmaker yourself? We didn't delve into that, but you're no.
No.
Go ahead.
I am not a filmmaker. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you were doing this project.
Yeah, it was kind of like I had the idea that I think it kind of stemmed out of an article that I had read about just the lack of women's adventure films. And I was
Okay.
like, oh, there's, why not make a film? I think there's just such power in film to tell stories and to really evoke emotion. And I think more than, a lot of other forms of media, it just, being able to tell those stories. So, yeah, so I kind of started working on that as a project, not with the intention ever of like being a filmmaker.
Gotcha. Very
Yeah.
cool. How was that project though? Was it tougher than you expected, not being a filmmaker, or did it come out pretty easy? You had the vision.
Yeah, I mean, I think the project it was challenging to like get it to like make it happen. That was like
Okay.
the most challenging part is like yeah, it was kind of a over the course of a couple years like through like different things and talking to different people and just getting the support to actually make it happen.
Okay.
Yeah, was kind of the biggest challenge.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So World Ride kicked off. Sorry, I do have trouble saying it. The World Ride. World Ride kicked off right then and there. What was your next step in growing the organization?
Yeah. So we started off really with like kind of that first Nepal trip, and then have just kind of started to spread the word about what we were doing.
Okay.
And then we started expanding to different places as well. So in 2019, in early 2019, I got invited by a friend to go to Guatemala. Most of my friends know that if they need a travel buddy, they can just ask me and I'll say yes. So
Okay.
yeah, and I was in Guatemala mountain biking and just was talking to some of the people there about what I had been doing in Nepal, and they were like, "Oh, let's do that here."
Okay.
So started kind of working on that, and we had our first World Ride Guatemala trip at the end of 2019, and then
Okay.
yeah, the plan for the next year, so 2020, was to host a whole bunch of movie night events all around the country. We started
Sure.
planning them, hosted 2, and then, you know, we all know what happened.
Everything, right? Absolutely. I think we're all there front and center.
Yeah. So obviously that kind of changed a lot with World Ride because we couldn't host our trips. And then we actually did transition to doing online movie nights, which were really successful through the pandemic and really helped to they really helped us to grow. I mean, I feel like the pandemic was kind of it ended up being like a good thing for us, that it just helped us to get the word out about what we were doing and be able to kind of grow a lot of that, just remotely.
Sure.
And then, yeah, since travel's opened up, a lot of people have now been coming on our trips and going to more in-person events and
a
lot more things with us. So, yeah.
Those online events, you could watch them personally directly in your own home, pay the donation towards you, and I would assume get a link or whatnot for the. Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And how many movies did you start out with that first year that you were doing the movie nights?
The movie nights? Oh my goodness. Well, we started off with just kind of we had kind of curated this whole lineup of films for that we were going to show at all the movie nights throughout the year.
Right.
And then, we did that for the first online movie night, kind of realized that things were not going to open up anytime soon. And people were like, oh, that was amazing. You should do another one. So I was like,
okay,
all right, let's do another one. So,
yeah.
So I started looking for more films to show because all of our movie nights are just all women's mountain bike films.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I think we ended up doing maybe 4 or 5 movie night events throughout the year. We did host a film contest. We asked people to make their own movies,
very
which
cool.
was really fun. Yeah, which we're doing another one of those this year.
Okay.
So, yeah, if anybody wants to make a film, I think the deadline is early October 6th, I think. So you can submit your film. And yeah, it was a little bit disheartening though that first year because by the end of that year, I had kind of gone through all of the women's mountain bike films that I could find. I had scoured the internet and was just looking for new ones. And yeah, it was a little disheartening that I'm like, there are just not enough women's mountain bike films. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. But it's always been a dream of mine with World Ride to tell the stories of the women that we work with around the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited that this year we actually did make our first World Ride film. So
awesome. And before we jump into that, because I know we are going to talk about Libertad, we glossed over a whole lot of things, I think, getting to this point. Tell us more about the organization, because you have a pretty cool about page. So I'm pretty much asking you to go verbally on your website here. But yeah, so so you had this great idea. Women in mountain biking, empowering women around the world with mountain biking. Talk to us about what that means to you and what the mission of the organization really follows.
Yeah. So our mission is to empower women globally through mountain biking, and that really encompasses a lot of different things. And we do that in a few different ways. We really, the whole goal of the organization is to help give women opportunity for both economic development purposes as well as just, recreation and fun and really, the bigger goal of changing cultural norms and paradigms and, views toward women in everywhere in the world, but especially in the places that we work. So we currently work in Nepal, Guatemala, Peru, Lesotho, and Botswana.
Yeah.
And in those places, women just have less opportunity for recreation as well as for work. So I kind of mentioned that one of the big things we do is we help to support women in becoming mountain bike guides.
Yes. Yeah.
And then a big part of what we do as well is we host mountain bike trips in all the places that we work in that are guided by the women that we work with. So it gives them this career opportunity. And they also guide, they don't just guide our trips, they're able to guide other trips and whatnot throughout the year. And then they also serve as ride leaders and role models for other women in their country. So in a lot of the places that we work, we've helped to establish bike libraries that women can like borrow a bike to go on a ride. And we all know how expensive mountain biking is, so that's to help to like break down that barrier to entry, right? At least give women an opportunity to try the sport and see if they like it. And it's been really cool. Like in Guatemala, we've got 5 bikes there now, and over the 3 years or so that we've had a bike library there, we've had a lot of women that have like tried mountain biking. They totally fell in love with it, and then they saved up money to buy their own bike. So then the bike library bike was able to be used by another woman. So then it just kept, it's just kind of grown the community there. So cool. I mean, that's like ideally, like that's exactly what we're hoping for with all these bike libraries. So
it's a pretty cool concept. I'm sure the Lime bike people must have come around and stolen that from you, and that's why we have all these rental bikes you can get in downtown Tempe and other places too. But no, tell me. So the bike library, you check it out for. I would assume you get a few days with it, maybe. I mean, if you checked it out for one ride, it may not be enough maybe to kind of gauge if you're brand new, right? If you've never ridden a bike or never ridden a mountain bike before, it might be hard to go for one ride, come back and say, all right, this is it. Some people would, but some people might need more. So do you get it for an extended length of time? Is there any kind of fee associated with it, or how does it work?
It's a little bit different in each place. So we try to like really work in each place and figure out what's going to work in that location. Just because, cultures are different, that we don't want to assume that it's going to be, the same thing. And it is kind of evolved too, as we've like learned. In a lot of places, like the bike, is just free. Sometimes we charge like a very small fee just to help maintain the bike, as well as just to have some accountability. We've had some bike library bikes be stolen just because women could borrow it for free and didn't really find value in it. And then so we find that like if they pay just a little bit, it just helps them to take care of the bikes and be a little bit more accountable. For sure. But it depends too on if the ride leader is going to be helping to check out the bikes, because usually the bikes are used for like rides, right? So like there's a weekly group rides or something that are organized, and if somebody needs a bike, they can borrow one of those bikes. Or pay a small amount just to use the bikes. That
was going to be a follow-up question. I presume again that they would benefit better, especially if it's their first or second time borrowing one of these bikes, having a guided ride versus just I know where there's a trail, or I know where I can go ride it, and again figure out the hard way whether you like it or not, without having any kind of guidance or somebody just to help you, right? Someone to get you through the first mile or two of off the road. So is it your guides that you have, that the women who have become guides, or is it a mixture? I guess it could be potentially a mixture of some that are yours and some that are just guides who do this work for a living too.
It's kind of a mixture. I mean, and like the community aspect is really important to us. So having those like group rides, I think is a big part, because that helps women find other like-minded women. They kind of see what other women are doing in the sport. I think there's just this magic too of getting a group of women together, and there's always just this encouragement and I don't know, it's a really special thing. I've been a part of it, and any place around the world that women just encourage each other and show each other like what they're capable of. And I think that's kind of a big part of what World Ride is all about, right? Is helping women to see what their capabilities are and what they can do, and that they're stronger than they might think, especially being up in these places. So so I think those group rides are definitely an important part of what we do. So
Very cool.
And like one of the things that we've done the past couple of years, so far in Nepal and Guatemala, we've partnered with PMBIA, which is the Professional Mountain Bike Instructor Association. So like I'm certified through PMBIA to teach mountain bike skills. And so we've now gone to Nepal and Guatemala and done instructor training courses so that now they're certified with how to teach mountain bike skills. Because again, I can go and teach them and they'll learn how to mountain bike, but I like the whole point is to empower like the local communities to have their own their own instructors to teach each other how to mountain bike. So and so now like we've got some certified skills instructors, and we've kind of emphasized like the women that are leading rides in those places. They're the ones that kind of get priority to be able to do those courses. So now they can like lead the rides and be able to help get new riders into the sport and teach them the necessary skills so that everybody can stay safe and have fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I love that concept, and I've heard it boiled down to my top, multiply yourself through other people. Exactly what you're out there doing, right? You can't always be the one who does it, but if you can teach someone else to be able to teach other people who then can go out, and it just just keeps growing from there. And it's a fantastic concept on whatever field you're looking at. But that's great. That's great that you're able to do that and really get out there in front of people. How did you pick all the areas? So you mentioned Nepal and Guatemala, but you're not. It's not like you're in like one little region, right? It's not like you just kind of went from like one country and then across the border to the next, or like in Central America versus North or Southeast Asia. How did you pick all these different places to set up shop in, so to speak?
Yeah. So I mean, Nepal, Guatemala, as well as Peru are all places that I traveled to mountain bike and started kind of talking to people about, well, Nepal was where we started, and then Guatemala and Peru, the same thing that I started talking to people about what I had been doing with World Ride. Lesotho and Botswana were both connections that were made through an organization called Pump for Peace. Which is a kind of the nonprofit side of a company called Velo Solutions. They build asphalt pump tracks around the world.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so the Pump for Peace kind of side of things, they had started building pump tracks. So they had built a few in Lesotho, and they were the first ones that they had built. And their whole idea was to build pump tracks in low-income countries to give opportunity for kids to be able to do this fun activity. And I saw something on social media that they had built these pump tracks in Lesotho, and I just reached out and I was like, would you be interested in building one in Nepal? I think that the community there would really benefit from it. And it's been this really amazing relationship because we're doing similar things, but in similar places. And so I've been able to connect them with some of the people that I know in these places. They did actually build a pump track in Nepal last fall. It took like 4 years, but as is how it works in these places.
Better late than never. Okay. Yeah. Right.
It's not the easiest thing to work in the places that we work in.
Sure.
So there's a lot of hoops to jump through. But the pump track did get built, which is very exciting. And so they connected me with some women with the women that they had worked with in Lesotho, or just some of the women there that were riding bikes, and then also in Botswana. They connected an amazing woman there. So yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
This brings up another good question. I think maybe it's a good question. You could disagree. Do you get a lot of, or I guess, do you have a lot of government collaboration for the non-pump track stuff? So if you're just going in and you're working with women, either become guides or just to get on the bikes and get started, do you get a lot of pushback from government or from local or federal? Is it something that that you see as a hurdle in and of itself?
Not necessarily government. No. I mean, I think it's more of like a cultural thing. And
Right.
Unfortunately, it's like the women get a lot of pushback.
For sure.
And so, yeah, that's always like a really hard thing to see. And yeah, I feel like a big part of my role is just as a mentor to the ladies that we work with to kind of help them like deal with a lot of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the women that we work with in each place are like, they are all some of the strongest women I have ever met. Like they're amazing. And it's like, I think they kind of have to be like the trailblazers in their specific country, right? Now it's like they are, they're the ones again that are the role models. And I had a talk with one of the women in Nepal this year when I was there. She's like has so many ideas and she's amazing and she's like doing all these things. She has her own coaching business now and yeah, and she wanted to like host an event and bring in all these coaches from elsewhere to like inspire women. And I had to look at her at one point. I was like, no, you're a role model. Like you're the one that needs to like do that, you know? And it was just kind of cool to like have her recognize that like she's kind of that person now. So
yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's taken like having these really strong women that kind of have the mindset already that they, are capable to be able to start the programs in each of these places. And now hopefully they're, inspiring other women to follow in their footsteps. So
it sounds like it already. That's for sure. So back to the countries, just to make it official for the podcast, what are the countries that you operate in, that you help out in?
Yeah, we work in Nepal, Guatemala, Peru, Lesotho, and Botswana.
Okay, very nice. Any new targeted countries or areas that you're looking at that you can talk about, or I don't know if that's a hush hush type subject.
Yeah, well, it's honestly, there are so many countries that I've made contacts in and that I'm like working on programs in, but we're still such a small organization that we're kind of nervous to expand to too many new places just until we feel like we have the funding to be able to do so. We want to be able to support each place the way that it should, right? So I think we're trying to kind of grow a little bit slowly just to make sure that we are able to like fully support each program. But that being said, I do think we're going to be starting to host some trips in Tanzania.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Next year. Yeah. So we are, it's not up on the website yet, but it's going to be there soon.
Okay.
To have a trip there. And that was like, we got contacted by these amazing women in Tanzania that they are already guiding on Mount Kilimanjaro.
Oh, wow.
Bike trips on
Very
Kilimanjaro. Cool. I was like, well, let's like co-host a trip to, that they're already doing. So it's a little bit easier and hopefully through the trip we can help support them with some bikes and other things. So
very neat.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the trips. We've mentioned it kind of briefly here. Do you do multiple trips a year, or is it kind of one, like you pick kind of one spot and this is your focus for this year? We're going to do a hosted trip.
No, we do trips to all of our locations like multiple times throughout the year.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have it just kind of depends on when the good timing is,
Okay.
weather-wise and seasonality.
Sure.
Thing. But yeah, we do like, multiple trips to each location
Okay.
in a given year. So I think, yeah, we had one trip to Lesotho this year. I'm not sure if we'll do another one. Like we might do that one either once or twice a year. But all the other ones, yeah, we have lots of different dates. So
very nice. And are these trips open to anyone and everyone? Is this just a women's only kind of continue to empower women through a group of women showing up?
That is an excellent question. And yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because I think it's like the assumption that everything that we do is just for women.
Right.
But we really, really believe in the idea of male allyship and having anyone and everyone on our trips. Because we are really trying to like make true cultural changes. And we recognize that we can't do that with just women, right? Especially in like the bike world and mountain biking, there's just so many fewer women. And so, if it was just that smaller group of women trying to make this big change, like it's just not going to happen as quickly as we would like. So we want anybody and everybody to help support what we're doing. So yeah, so our trips are open.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And I presume the information's all on the website for people to look up. How often, or sorry, not how often, but how early are they usually posted, where folks can have time to save a little bit of money, or plan it out, obviously, like that kind of thing. How far in advance do you have stuff listed?
Yeah, that's a great question. We try to post everything, all of our new dates, like at least like a year or so out. So
Okay.
like all of our 2024 dates are up on our website. So
very cool.
Yeah, for the whole year. And then on top of that, we can do custom dates. So if somebody wants to do a trip and has a group, usually the minimum's 4, depends on the country. Sometimes it's more or less than that.
Okay.
If you have a group and have some dates that you want to go that are not necessarily listed on the website, we can put together a custom trip. So
very cool.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to get into some of these countries? I presume you guys most of the time everyone brings their own bike, not just a few of you, and then expect to either rent or something like you. I'm sure it's a lot easier to rent here. If we took a group to Moab, there's probably a bike shop that 12 people could rent bikes from.
Yeah.
I would assume in some of these places there isn't quite that luxury. So bringing your own bike, how difficult is it to get into some of these countries with all this equipment that you're bringing across? And I can imagine some of these countries must just be difficult to get to in general. It's not just even hopping across the pond to to England or France or something like that, but multiple hours in planes, maybe multiple planes even, to get to some places.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's not, I actually don't think it's that difficult to get to any of them. Oh, well, the journey to Nepal, it's a long one, right?
Sure.
Getting to Africa, it's, definitely a few flights. As far as getting equipment into those places, it's really not that challenging. And these days, like most airlines, count your bike as one of your check bags if it's under 50 pounds.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's actually a question that we get really often, is like, I've never traveled with my bike, I don't know how to do it. And I always assure people that it's not as hard as you think.
That's good.
Yeah, and I wrote a blog post last year about traveling with your bike, and you can kind of search for that on our website. Just kind of a step-by-step of how to do it, and all of my tips and tricks and things that I've learned over the years traveling with my bike many places.
Very awesome.
Yeah, and especially these days, like, because it doesn't really, you don't have to pay extra for it. There used to be just huge bike fees.
Sure, I'll bet.
But yeah, I mean, it's always an extra thing, right? Because you've got this big piece of luggage, but it's always worth it. And so, some of the places that we work do have rental bikes available. And that's kind of changed over the years. Like there's decent rental bikes in Nepal, decent rental bikes in Guatemala. The other places we kind of recommend bringing your own bike. So, except our Botswana trip actually includes rental bike. So.
Oh, very cool. All right.
Yeah.
Nice. And what does the trip overall entail? group rides and stuff like that, but I'm sure there's more to it. What can somebody expect on one of these trips?
Yeah, all of our trips are just they're fully guided, fully supported, just really fun mountain bike trips that
Okay.
Each place is a little bit different as far as what the riding is like. We kind of have some ratings on our website as far as like the technical difficulty as well as like the, physical fitness needed.
Yep.
Some of they're all a little different in that regard. But there's also just like a big cultural aspect to each one of them, right? So
Okay.
You're going to these amazing places that have just very different cultures than what we're used to. So yeah, we do try to include some different cultural experiences and cool things like that. Like, if you go to Peru, like you get to go, there's a day that's set aside to go visit Machu Picchu. And
okay.
Yeah, so.
And some, please tell me there's food involved. Is there?
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Okay.
Gotta fuel the ride.
That's right on the wrong. Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah, I think I'm gonna start signing up as soon as we get off here. Probably all the places too. How long do these trips? Are they week long, 2 weeks? Typically.
Yeah, each one's a little different. It depends on the location. So,
Okay.
Guatemala, Peru, and Botswana are all week-long trips.
Okay.
Lesotho is a 10-day trip, and then we offer 3 different trips in Nepal,
Okay.
and they range from 10 to 14 days.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Are you typically bringing over mostly Americans, or do you have kind of a worldwide following yet, where folks are coming in from other countries to meet you in Guatemala or another location?
Yeah, we're starting to get more people from around the world. Most of what we've had so far has been Americans, but
Sure.
Yeah, we're starting to get a little bit more of a reach. So yeah.
Very nice. And do you lead most of these, or are you involved in almost every trip, or do you have to stay back and run the ship?
No, I mean I do travel quite a bit for World Ride, but the trips, they're all guided by the women that we work with, right? And that's kind of what it's all about. So I definitely don't go on every trip.
Okay.
I go on kind of newer trips, or if it's a special trip or something like that, I'll go on them. But most of my trips these days are kind of for projects and things that we're working on, like film projects or but I will be like, so we do an annual trip in Guatemala that also includes this event called a travessia. It's like a big kind of community event, and it's the one that's featured in Libertad.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And yeah, so I'll be in Guatemala on that trip this year.
Nice.
Yeah, just to be
Very
kind
cool.
of part of that event. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great segue. Unless there's anything else about the trips that you'd like to just put out there, I'd love to start talking about Libertad and some of the movies in general.
Sure. Yeah.
So last year was the first year we hosted a movie night with you. I think you gave us, I don't know, 4 or half a dozen links. I don't quite remember the number. But we had a number that we showed. They're all short films. I think probably about 2 hours or so total running time between them all. Are they? I know they're all about empowering the women and mostly about some form of a woman's journey on the bike, whether it was getting to where they are or where they've come from from the start of riding. Are they all women filmmakers too, or is it a mixed gender for like where the film starts, I guess, in the actual building of the films?
Yeah. I don't think our main focus is just on films that feature women.
The subjects.
Yeah, I don't think all
okay.
are necessarily made by female filmmakers. That's
okay.
like
Right. You talked about scrubbing the internet of all women's mountain biking films, and it's probably even smaller of those who are the directors as well, right?
Yeah.
And I thank you for that, because it's kind of clarifying for me too, as well as letting everyone else know, because think I might have billed it a little bit in talking to people last year as kind of like films by women for women sort of a thing. But before I got to see them, right, I didn't get to see them all until towards the end. So thank you for clearing that up, because that certainly opens it up. Before we get into this year's Libertad, you did mention there's a contest. Let's just get all the details out there too for anyone who might be listening, because it is, I guess, a close date now. You said October for the submission, but that gives somebody a few weeks at least to put something together if they see this and get inspired. This is your first contest, you said?
No, we've hosted, I think this will be our third, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. It kind of stemmed out of that first year when I started realizing that we were running out of films to show.
Okay.
I was
we
like,
need
well,
more.
let's have people make more. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been so cool to see what people come up with. Just, again, it's all about telling stories, right? And showing what we're doing. And it's been so fun to see what people have submitted. So
quickly, kind of what are the parameters for anyone listening to this? Is there minimum length that you want, or obviously women writers are the subject matter, but what other, like what should they be considering as they put this together for you?
All the details are on our website, but we're looking for films that are like anywhere between 3 and 30 minutes that feature women, and kind of leave it open-ended other than that.
That's great,
because we want to let people be creative and just see what they come up with.
Awesome. And then they submit it. Obviously, again, information's on your website, but they submit it to you directly through the website. Okay.
There's a form, just a Google form that's linked on our website, and can submit the film on there, and then we do an online showing of all the films.
Okay.
And
oh wow.
You get some sponsor prizes, and then we have the audience vote on their favorite.
Very nice.
And so you can totally rig the film contest and have all of your friends attend and vote for you. We're fine with that. But so the audience votes on what their favorite film is, and then whoever has the most votes wins the prizes. So
very, very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about this year's then. Libertad is what is going around to your film movie nights this year. We'll be showing it at our race 2 in November, the Saguaro Soiree. So we'll have a tent set up. We'll probably have it. I'm assuming it's obviously not an all-day movie, so we'll have it probably running multiple times, or maybe I haven't quite decided. Maybe the top of the hour, every hour, that kind of thing. We'll figure something out. But I want it to be open multiple times for anyone who is racing either of the races that day, or who just wants to come and attend. So that way, there's multiple show times. They don't have to be pegged into just 1 or 2 in the afternoon. But tell us a little bit about Libertad and where it came from.
Yeah. So ever since making or helping with the film project in Nepal, I've just always had this dream that World Ride, part of what we would do is tell the stories of the women that we work with. Yeah. And so it was kind of I don't know, since we already had Moksha, the kind of natural next step or next place to make a film seemed like Guatemala, because that was the next place we started working. And our program there has just been so successful. It's amazing. Like our first guide, Krista, is just this incredible woman, and she has really just inspired so many other women to get out on bikes. And they have these huge group rides, and we have a bike library there, and it's just been, everything about it has been just like a huge success. So so I really wanted to make a film there. And a friend of mine connected me with some friends of hers that are filmmakers. And they are female filmmakers too, which is really and in talking to them and just their style, it was like a perfect fit for what we were looking to do. They really love to kind of get to know people and have the people feel comfortable to be able to tell their stories on the film. And they did just an amazing job. Yeah, I can't say enough good things, and I'm already working with them on another film.
That's great.
Yeah, and yeah, so I really wanted to tell the story of, of Krista and our program in Guatemala. And so in January, we traveled down to Guatemala and spent about 3 weeks filming all over. And
Very neat.
yeah, we had a trip going on, so you get to see a little bit of that. We went on some of like the weekly group rides with all the ladies. And then a big thing too was the Travestia event that I mentioned earlier. Was happening while we were there, and that gets to be really featured in the film. And that event is so cool. I think we had like over 60 women participate. And yeah, they do these like big community rides. They're kind of Grand Fondo type rides. And they do them all over Guatemala. But before World Ride, they had never done one that was just for women. And so in 2019, we helped to put on the first women's only one. And so
very cool.
Yeah, so that's featured in the film, and it's just a really cool thing to see.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And for everybody watching and listening, we will have the trailer for Libertad. We'll have it queued up right after our podcast is over, so you all will have a chance to see it, and not see it, but see the trailer at least. And then, of course, then you can come out and check us out at the Saguaro Soiree, where we will be playing it all afternoon long, so you'll be able to come check it out. I should also note too, we do charge for this, right? For the right to show the film, but all of the proceeds for the charge go right back to Julie and World Rides. So it's going to a good cause. You're getting it from the source, and you're contributing to the next one coming down the road. So happy to partner with you about this too, because it's pretty neat. And I remember watching the movies. Last year was the first time that we had done the movies with you, and it was just really amazing and inspirational, and sitting there and watching each story unfold. It was pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to it for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing the trailer too. Haven't seen that one yet, so just to get the hype going a little bit.
Well, thank you so much. We can't thank you enough for all the support.
Yeah. I know you've got the trailer up on your website. Is that something that's shareable direct from there? Could we link social media to just push that piece out too, and in addition to where we have it here?
Let's see. I think it's linked on our website.
Yeah. Okay. I thought I'd seen it earlier today when I was looking through it, and we'll certainly at least put it for not everyone listens to the podcast, so we'll try to get it out to on our social media too, just to push it out, and we'll know that it's available. I did see when I was looking up, because I wanted to look up some of the dates. You've got a movie night in Flagstaff, just up the road from us, also this year, so that's kind of cool. There's two of us, two cities that are showing it. Are you coming down for the Flagstaff one by chance?
I don't think I'm gonna make it down.
No.
No, well, yeah, one of the cool things is we've just had so many people that want to host movie nights for us. And it's been amazing. And so we had somebody reach out in Flagstaff that was like, I want to host a movie night. So she actually came on the World Ride trip that happened in January in Guatemala. And now wanted to host a movie night. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, we're able to kind of provide all of the necessary things and marketing materials and ticketing site and everything to have anybody host one anywhere in the world. We have an ambassador that hosts a few movie nights every year in New Zealand. And
oh wow.
So it's kind of
You'll have to make it out to one of those.
I know.
That sounds like an acceptable work trip.
Yes.
Work expense. No, that's great. Again, we're super proud to be able to link up again and show it. So looking forward to debuting not debuting, but debuting it here, at least in this area too, in November. So again, perfect segue. You mentioned the ambassadors. You have an ambassador program. Again, we're lucky enough to have 3 right here in the Valley. We had Mary on last year. I know she's stepped down from that for other just busy life, I guess. But we have Heidi Zabo is here, Maria Vasquez, and is it Amy? I'm sorry, and I don't know your third ambassador personally. Is it Amy?
Schweim, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we've exchanged emails, a bunch of us together, and I think Amy was on that. But again, just haven't met her. What does it entail to become an ambassador, and then as an ambassador, what are these ladies doing out there for you?
Yeah. So our ambassadors, they do a lot of different things, but it's really kind of bringing World Ride into their own local community.
Okay.
It's just like growing the community of women mountain bikers around the world is just a huge part of what we want to do through World Ride. So, our ambassadors are all over. They're all over the world, and they're just kind of helping to spread the word. And a lot of them do host movie nights or events or, rides or things with their local community. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Are you looking for more currently? Is there an ideal number that you want, or is the sky the limits?
So we open up applications for ambassadors every year, and we're actually changing like the time frame of it. So our ambassador application is actually going to open up in about a month, so like end of September. Sure. So we were doing it kind of at the beginning of the year, but we're kind of realizing everybody, like during the summertime, everybody just wants to be out riding their bikes, right? Maybe not in Phoenix, but
right.
most other places in the world. So
sure,
we're changing now to accept new ambassadors kind of toward the end of the year, because everybody wants to have more time to be able to kind of like host events and work on things throughout the winter. So our ambassador applications are going to open up soon, and we're going to be making new ones. So
there you go, everyone listening who is interested, opening soon. And is it a 1-year commitment, or do you reapply each year?
Yeah, usually, I mean, it's you don't necessarily need to reapply. Like our existing ambassadors, we always ask them if they want to stay, or and we do have ambassadors that have been with us like the whole time we've had an ambassador program. And some ambassadors like Marion, they just, don't have the time and want to focus on other things, so they just stay with us for a year. But
no, things happen. That's understandable for sure.
Everybody's got
that's great. So you can stay on as long as you want to, or are able to continue, I guess, doing it, and then new people every year, right? Who want to. I did notice there's definitely some international ladies on that list. Not everybody was from the States. What kind of events are they hosting over there? I think I remember one from British Columbia, Canada. I don't remember if there's any places more exotic than Canada. But
we do have the one in New Zealand too.
Oh, that's right, the New Zealand. You just mentioned it. I hadn't had them all memorized. But again, so movie nights, group rides, anything different? Is there something culturally different that an ambassador from across the pond or up north has brought to the table?
Not yet. It's mostly just kind of like, group rides and movie nights. Just events and things to kind of engage their community. So, it's fun to get them. And our ambassador program too, it is open to anyone. So far, we've mostly just had women, but we did have a couple of male ambassadors last year who were awesome. And so it's open to anybody that wants to help.
That's good to know. I didn't even ask the question. I guess I was just assuming because of the list that you had are all women currently, so it just sort of it made sense in that respect. I guess that it would be, but that's good to know too. So guys, you're on the clock. Someone has to get out there and become the next male ambassador for World Ride.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Julie, I don't know. I think we've covered a lot of the organization. Is there anything that you want everybody to know about you and the organization that we haven't touched on?
I feel like we've talked about a lot.
We absolutely have, and that's great. So worldride.org, is that the right, or is it a
world.com?
Yeah, it is a .com. Yep.
Yeah, I think if you go to .org, it will forward to us
So
as
just
well.
sorry, bring you over. Okay. Any information that we didn't talk about today will be there, as well as probably everything that we have talked about too. So you can check out the movie nights, the trailers there, ambassador program. And I presume I didn't see it when I was looking, as I wasn't aware. But you said the movie, the movie submissions.
Yep.
Or there's a page to find that. Okay, so
Yeah.
any of you aspiring filmmakers out there, you've got a few weeks to put a story together about a local woman that you know or maybe don't know, but you want to get her story out there and put something together. So pretty cool. Well, Julie, this has been fantastic. Glad to finally get to meet you, I guess, face to face, sort of, on the screen here. Next time you come down to Phoenix, we'll have to make sure that we get like a group ride together and go out, take you away from your parents. Sorry, mom and dad, but we'll need her for a couple hours. We won't take her for like a long. We won't take her for a whole day in the saddle, but we'll take her out for a couple hours, and I'm sure you'll. I'm sure it's growing up here. You know it a little bit, but we'll get you out in the Phoenix trails and something like that.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
And again, everyone who is watching and listening, the trailer for Libertad will be queued up shortly, right after we finish this part of the recording. Again, worldride.com, all the information that you might need. They will be our partner for the Saguaro Soiree on November 12th. So come on down. You'll be able to watch Libertad in person. At the race. Even if you're not down to do the race, you can come out and watch the movie and support World Ride, as well as our beer garden that we have for all the races. All the proceeds there will be going. So we'll be making, hopefully, if everybody drinks a couple of beers and watches the movie, we'll be making a nice donation to Julie and everything, and maybe get another woman a bike somewhere and out in the world. Thank you again for joining me, Julie. This was fantastic. Really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better and getting to know the organization. And I'm definitely going to have to now look and talk to my wife about a mountain biking specific or a mountain biking centric vacation coming up here, because those trips sound pretty amazing. And although I'm not familiar with every country that you go to, there's certainly a few that are already on my list just as a vacation. So now if I can work the two together, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, definitely have to come on a trip. And
yeah,
thanks so much for having me on here, and thanks for all the support.
Absolutely. So everyone stay tuned. I'm going to stop the recording here just in a minute, and we'll get on to the premiere trailer. Not really premiere. I keep saying that word, but the trailer of Libertad. So everyone stand by, and thanks again for coming out and watching the podcast. We'll see you all next time.